Hello folks, I'll apologize in advance for the wind. It's a breezy day here. I hope you can hear me. I won't know until I look at the video later. But I'm at a new project today. I want to get my garden ready for the winter, to put it to bed, so to speak. I explained to you how miserable it was this summer and how the weeds got out of control because it was so muddy and stuff didn't come up. So I'm finally getting back in here. When I mowed down the corn stalks and some of the other weeds up there, at least it partially got mowed. There were a few vine crops down in here that really didn't produce much, and we've had 2 frosts now, so there's nothing alive in here anymore. So I want to brush hog all of this first, then I'm going to till it with the plow, and I'll run the Roto-tiller through it to smooth it out, and then the final plan is going to be to sow rye for the winter. That will serve as kind of a cover crop for over the winter. It should choke out all the weeds in the spring, and then what I'll do is, before I plant in the spring, I'll mow all that down, till it under, and that provides me with some green manure. So that's the plan. I had got a half a bushel of rye from my son, and we'll see what happens. I have today and tomorrow to get this done because we're supposed to have a lot of rain coming in Wednesday. So first move here is going to be, as I said, to brush hog everything down as best I can, and then we go from there. So I'll come back to you when I'm starting that. Okay, here we go. I have the brush hog up high because there are some furrows and ruts. I don't want to ground the brush hog on the high spots. We'll see what I can do. If I have to go through it a second time, I will. Just got to be careful here I don't hit any of the wires. Show you the brush hog when I go through it the next pass. It's not a major job, but it's just there'll be so much sticking up and so much trash to try to plow. It's better to chop it all up first. Provide me with a little more plant material in the soil anyhow. That was 2 passes. I'll come back to you after it's done. Alright, everything's pretty well mowed down, and as you can see, I've replaced the brush hog with the 2-bottom snap coupler plow. So I'm going to plow these, plow the garden, plow the furrows, put furrows in the garden, till all the weeds and stuff underneath as best I can with the plow. And then the next part after that will be to use the Roto-tiller on. Again, my next move should have been to disc it with a drag disc, but since I don't have one, I've got to go to plan B. So that'll be plan B. Alright, so hang on here. We're going to, first we'll drop the plow. Just want to make sure I wasn't going to hit the wire there. I'm good. And we'll start out this first row. Just going in low gear. I'm not going to try to overtax the tractor. I can only go to the row, and then I've got to drive out around and come back in again, because I don't want to throw my downhill furrows downhill just to avoid erosion. I want to throw all my furrows uphill because of the natural terrain. The water's going to come down this way. I want the furrows to catch it. I don't want it to erode the furrows any more than necessary. It's not real steep here, but it's enough that I don't want the problem. So it takes a little longer that way, but it works. All right, here we go. So that wasn't bad. That soil's in pretty good shape. It's not real dry, but it's not as clingy as it was when I did it in the spring. So I'm going to go around again. I'll come back to you with another pass. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. We're ready for our second pass, second 2 furrows. Alright, we'll deal with it. Alright. So I'll plow the rest of this. I'll come back to you maybe when it's about half done or so. And we'll show you the progress. Alright, we're about half done. Miserable section there in the middle where most of the weeds were, and this clay down here is definitely wetter than it was near the top, but it's still still tillable. I believe what I'm going to do is just let it sit for the rest of the day, and then tomorrow afternoon when it's had some more sun on it, then I'll bring the rototiller in to chop it up, but I'll give it a little more time to dry out, because otherwise it'll just clog the tiller blades. They'll just, you know, be all gunked up with the clay. So we'll give it a try and see what we can do. As I said, Wednesday it's supposed to rain, so I've got to get this done before then. Here we go. Come back to you when I'm about done. Alright, we're up to the last pass through here now, and then this is done. So hang on for the last time through. Okay, well, as usual, the Allis D14 did what it was supposed to, no problems. Plow still working fairly well for me, even with the heavy sod, as you can see. I might have to go through that last one more time, the way it looks there. That's alright, not a big deal. And like I said, tomorrow I'll start tilling, and I'll continue this video with that. I'll try to bring you right to the very end where I seed the rye, and then the garden's officially put to bed for the winter, so I'll be back to you. Next part of our getting the garden ready for the winter, I started to till with the tiller where I plowed yesterday. I got about 4 or 5 passes across the top done, and it was so hard fighting the tiller with all the furrows that I thought, okay, what can I do? I can't do this whole garden like that. It'll take me forever and maybe even break the tiller. So as I said before, I don't have a drag disc, which would have been perfect to knock down all of the furrow tops and smooth out the ground. But I also thought to myself, you know, I'm not preparing for planting now. I don't need nice seed beds. All I need is something that's smooth enough for the rye to grow on, and the rye doesn't get sown in the ground, it just gets scattered across the top, because rye will grow in almost anywhere, and basically that's how a lot of the farmers will even do it. My son's not going to use a grain drill. He's just going to put it in his fertilizer spreading wagon and spray it that way, you know, kind of scatter it that way. He claims that as long as you get it in on the ground shortly before it rains, it will sprout, and rye will germinate all the way down to 34 degrees apparently, or will grow to 34 degrees. So it is a winter crop. So what I did, if you notice here, you don't see the big furrows like you saw earlier in this video after I had plowed. I thought, what do I have that I can use to flatten this out a bit? Well, it dawned on me, I have that back blade that I use for plowing snow, scraping snow in the wintertime. I thought, well, that might do the trick just enough to knock the furrows down. I don't know if I need to touch it up a little bit here and there with the tiller, but even if I do, it won't take as much effort to do so, because as you can see, you don't see furrow tops and deep ridges in between like you would normally in a plowed area. So this is my plan. I'm going to touch this up a little bit, and then I will get the rye sown yet tonight, because we are supposed to get rain tomorrow. So hang in there. I'll come back to you when I'm ready to start planting. I'm just going to use, if the ground will cooperate, I'm just going to use this broadcast spreader. If the wheels will turn to have it spread, otherwise I'll scatter it by hand. So this should do the trick. I can go back and forth and cover maybe an area 10 feet wide as I go when I'm spreading it, and it should give a relatively uniform, you know, even sowing pattern. Again, this isn't fancy. It's not for any kind of crop that I need to put it in the ground precisely to maximize my yields. I'm just trying to cover up the ground, add some fertilizer, choke out some of the weeds, and get it prepped for, you know, finish prepping it then in the spring to plant. So we'll see how it goes. I'll be back to you. Took about 8-10 passes through with the tiller, and some of the high spots, knocked them down, and I was just about ready to start with the seeds, and then I realized, oh yeah, the chickens are out. I start sowing rye seed here, they'll all come running and eat it up thinking it's meal time. So I'm gotta wait until they're just about ready, just before dark, when they're just about ready to go in to do this, I'm afraid, so that I don't have help. I think once it's in the ground and it gets rained on tomorrow, I don't think they'll bother with it, but right now I'm just afraid that we'll have fat bloated chickens on rye seed and not as much as I wanted in the garden. So at any rate, I'll come back to you when I'm working on the rest. Alright, we are sowing rye. You can see I started, well, you can't see, but I'm showing you. I started at the top and I'm down to about here now, and I have there to go. It's not the smoothest operation with this seeder because this ground is just not smooth enough for the wheels to run over it easily. I have to keep stopping and closing my hatch so I don't just put piles of seed right in one spot. Also, the hatch lever here keeps wanting to slide shut, so as I'm rolling it's not scattering as much as it should, but I don't have time to fool with that tonight to fix it, so I'm just doing the best I can, because as I said, we got rain tomorrow, so I've got to get this all in. I hope you can see it. As I know it's starting to get dark. It is let's see, I have my watch on the hand, I'm holding the camera, that's no good. Well, it's 20 to 7, so that's seems early yet, but we are in October, so I don't know if I can show you me spreading this, but because like I said, it's taken me 2 hands to make it work right. But if you look here, you see all the little white flecks there. Those are all rye seeds that are on the ground. You can see that have been sown. And that's about how thick it is throughout. Places where it wasn't working right, I just hand sow it. So who knows, but what I'll do is I'll do a follow-up video to this one in a few weeks or a month or so, depending how long it takes the rye to germinate and start to grow. Maybe I'll get some report over the winter to show what it looks like, and certainly in the spring. So again, this is an experiment. I've never done this before as far as winterizing gardens with rye. I know it's a common thing to do, and I wanted to try it this year, so we'll see how it goes and I'll let you know. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Tell your friends, family, and also hit the notifications bell so that when I post more videos you'll be first to know. So thank you again for supporting us and the idea of country living on a shoestring.